Baseball family, welcome to this week's episode where we're going to talk awardees, ballpark updates, and we're going to recap the Central Divisions right now. Welcome to the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together. Baseball family, welcome to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast. I'm Brig. I got my Army baseball jersey on today because you have 25 days until the Army-Navy game. And if you want to go to Fanatics and get your stuff, there's a link in the description. You can do that. But Brad is here with me as always. Brad, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, actually, thank you. How are you this evening, Brig?
Yes, I am wrung out and very happy to be here, and that's very exciting. Very exciting.
Good.
That's usually my answer. Have you noticed that lately? I'm like, I made it.
I understand it because you're in a master's program. There's a reason I've decided not to do that yet, if ever. Is because I see people go in and out the way that you are, and I am not into that kind of thing. So
it's
we'll
hard.
see. Maybe someday. But
okay.
Not right now.
It's intense. You know what's more intense, Brad, is that we hit 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube machine. It is the most exciting. Thank you for those of you watching and listening and participating with us here on any of the social media platforms. They've all been growing. They've all been terrific. You guys are awesome. In celebration of the fact that we reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, we are going to do the 12 Days of Christmas. It's going to be a series of giveaways, and it will start on December 1st. So head over to Instagram. It's going to be the best way. It's going to be the only way to participate in this. So follow us on Instagram at Baseball Together. Stay tuned for December 1st. We're going to run 12 consecutive days of giveaways for the 12 Days of Christmas. That's the beginning of Elvis's Christmas song.
Oh, very good.
Exciting.
That's news to me.
Who's your Santa, by the way? I mean, we'll talk about this more later, but do you have a Santa?
It is. Oh yeah, formerly Tim Allen, currently Kurt Russell.
Yes, that's me too.
Right? I think we've had this conversation, but yeah,
I think
absolutely. Christmas Chronicles is where it's at. I don't care who you are, or what you say.
100%.
It's where it's at.
What'd you think of the second one, though? Yes? No?
I thought it was good. I liked it. It wasn't as good as the first. Like most sequels, most part twos, it felt a little forced.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline did, right? But I didn't think it was bad. I enjoyed it. I still had fun with it.
Yeah, but that first one's magical.
It is, and I bet if they make a third one, it will return to the magic of the first one, because that seems like that's what happens, unless it's the Santa Claus, and then it just gets weird.
It just spirals. They should have stopped at one. Yeah. Anyway, baseball family, if you're into Santa, and you don't have to be, because that's fine. But if you have a Santa, we want to know who your Santa is. All right, let's get into baseball.
We're working on wrapping up the season by going through the divisions east to west, how we typically do things, right? And so we're going to start today with the American League Central, and then in a little bit we will get in and talk about the National League Central. So we're going from the bottom up. So we're starting at the absolute bottom of the barrel, Brig, with the Chicago White Sox.
It couldn't have been worse.
The record-setting Chicago White Sox. Holy
unbelievable.
41 and 121 this year. Set a record for the most losses in Major League Baseball history. I know you might be looking at the Cleveland Spiders, but that was not officially Major League Baseball. So here we are now with your record-setting White Sox. It's unreal. So this is an interesting thing to me, Brig, is that Pedro Grifol managed to a 28-89 record.
Yeah.
28 wins in 117. It seems to me that it wouldn't take 117 games to be like, maybe we need to bring in somebody else. Things have gotten progressively worse since this guy took over, and now we're at an all-time bad. We're going to set a record for most losses in a season with this guy at the helm. Maybe we should make a change. Like, why did it take him so long to do this?
I don't know. We were asking that question midway through the season. We're like, what? Stop the bleeding.
I know. Yeah. So then they bring in Grady Sizemore for the last handful of games, and he manages to a 13-32 record, which actually is better. That's a 28.9% winning percentage, or 289 winning percentage. Grifol was at 239, so not much better. But I think he did manage to 2 3-game winning streaks, which I don't think Grifol did this year.
That's true.
Awfully low bar, but nonetheless, it did happen.
Yeah. So some things went well though for the White Sox, especially in terms of pitching. I feel like we had Garrett Crochet. We had he was big at the trade deadline. Big conversation.
And it looks like they're going to try to move him again. They're going to try again to move him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
But Eric Fetty was legit.
Yeah.
Right? He was a big boy. He got traded off to the Cardinals, though. Good for him.
Yeah.
Got to play some competitive baseball down the stretch. But other than that,
don't forget about Miguel Vargas.
Oh, poor Miguel Vargas. This is the thing. Is I know Miguel Vargas is not a difference maker, right?
Right.
Don't get me wrong. He was not a world beater when he was in LA. But no. You feel so bad for the guy. He was playing for the World Series champions. The imminent World Series champions, and then he gets traded to this. I wonder if there are things that he learned in LA that he can carry over and be like, look, guys, that team won. I can bring a few things over here, and we can make some changes. We can make some adjustments, culture-wise, development. Because Cliff Lee, when he went to Seattle, he'd be in the bullpen, and they'd be working out and stuff. He'd be with Felix Hernandez. He'd be like, you guys should be doing this way. They're like, what are you talking about? This is the way we always do. In Philly, that's not the way they do it. And
right.
You should be doing things the way they do in Philly.
Yeah.
Especially then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know if he is at a point where he cares enough to do that, right? To be like, yeah, guys, maybe we should be doing stuff a little bit differently, be doing stuff this way. Or if he's just kind of like, this is it. This is my life for the next 6 years.
I think
but at least he's going to get service time.
He is. He will. And if he gets 6 years in service time, then he'll make that magical 10-year mark, very likely. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to get vested. So I will say, in my opinion, the only thing worse than losing this many games is to, at the very beginning, have your general manager step in and say, yeah, well, we don't really have any expectations this season anyway. And then when it starts going off the rails, he's like, yeah, that's what I said. It's like, what? What is happening?
I know. Yeah. It's absurd. So,
oh, man.
I think it is safe to say, though, White Sox fans, it'll never be this bad again.
Oh, no. No. No.
At least it shouldn't be.
If it is, I don't know what else to say. If it is, call us. We want to talk to you. We're the Baseball Together crisis line.
Exactly. You can reach out at baseballtogetherpod@gmail.com. Yeah. We will respond. We are here for you.
We are here for you. Your feelings are safe with us.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Twins. Holy Twins, okay. Brig.
Yeah.
Okay, so they still won 82 games. They finished over 500.
Forget about it. I don't know how this makes sense. Yeah.
They missed the playoffs, though. Which, 82 games shouldn't get you in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
It shouldn't. But
it has
the
before.
Problem, it has, right. It doesn't make it right. Let's be honest.
No, I agree with you.
So here's the problem, Brig. First half of the season, they were 54-42. They were looking like they were right there in the mix the entire time. And then the second half happened. 28
it really did
38
happen.
Was their second half record. September, they were 9-18. It's not going to get it done. I don't care who you are. I mean, there are teams that could have gone 9-18. I think the Dodgers would have missed out on their division had they gone 9-18 in September. Maybe not even made the playoffs. I don't know. I'm not going to look right now, but there's a chance.
It says here,
right?
I just saw this. It says that the Twins, as of September 5th, still had a 95.4% playoff odds on Fangraphs. And then they went and lost 16 of the next 22. Of the last 22 games of the season, they lost 16 of them.
16 of 22.
Yeah.
That is a brutal stretch.
That just is awful.
Holy cow. And so
but Carlos Correa continues to be Carlos Correa, right? And he's on the literally a cornerstone right now. That's all they've got. Him and Byron Buxton, I guess. They're like the
oh no, they have I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. I need to get back to the roster real quick. Royce Lewis.
Oh yeah, Royce Lewis.
The problem is the dude has a hard time staying healthy.
Yeah, that's true.
When he is healthy,
probably why I didn't think about him, but
he's next level, absolutely next level. But he played in 82 games this year. He missed significant stretches twice with injuries. He missed significant stretches last year, but in 82 games he put up a .7 WAR. So
that's sweet.
When he's there, he had 16 home runs in 82 games again, Brig. Jeez.
Right.
107 OPS plus, 747 OPS. Like, if he could put together a complete season, he would I would imagine he would be up there with the MVP voting. But the problem is, your best ability is your availability, and so far he has not been there with it.
Well said. Well said. Let's not forget Pablo Lopez, 3.36 xFIP. Pretty good. Joe Ryan.
Pablo Lopez is a stud.
He's a stud. Joe Ryan did well. Bailey Ober did well. That's a good 3-starter rotation. So it wasn't all bad. You know,
It wasn't
they had
all
some
bad.
injuries.
It's just that it just fell apart at the end, and I think part of that is injuries added up because Carlos Correa, toward the end of the season, was beat up. Right, he missed a significant stretch there for a while toward the end, and he only played in 86 games as well. So that's going to be a problem when the guy who's supposed to be your best player, who is your best player with a 3.7 WAR, is only playing 86 games. That's a problem.
Well, what is Buxton? He had about
Buxton played 102 with a 3.6 WAR during that time.
Okay, yeah, not bad.
But
yeah, then,
no, it's not. Carlos Santana, surprise of the year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy cow. 2.5 WAR, played in 150 games.
115 WRC plus, 38 years old. Get out of here.
Dude, I love it. I am a huge Santana fan, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's a coincidence that after he got to Seattle 2 years ago, that the Mariners turned everything around and made the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a coincidence. And I don't think it's a coincidence that things were going well in Minnesota, I guess, until they weren't in September. But you can only do so much when your stars are gone. But no, I don't know. I don't think this is who they are. Everybody deals with injuries. I understand that. But when your two best players, possibly three best players, are missing significant time, it's going to be really hard to make up for what's missing there. And your pitchers can only do so much.
Yep.
Because your pitchers can't score runs.
Big facts there, bro. That's true.
I've been screaming at the Mariners front office for years that pitchers don't score runs.
I know. It's true.
Going on 2 decades, Brig. So, do you think the Twins are going to have to make some moves? But do you think if this team had stayed healthy, do you think that they do make the playoffs? Like if Correa plays a handful of games more, do you think that they make the playoffs? Because they missed by, they missed by 4 games.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think they missed by 4 games, not just because of their incapabilities or whatever, their deficiencies. I think they are 4 games back because the Royals and the Tigers pushed so hard. Tigers came out of nowhere and just scared them right out of the tree. They were climbing up that tree. Tigers were like, "You're in my way. Get out of here." Coolest metaphor I've had all night long. Okay.
Love it. Very good, especially with the Tiger. That's really good. So
Yeah,
we'll get to the Royals in a minute, though, because
yeah,
they were interesting
not
on the
all
stretch
pretty.
too.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
no. Okay. Let's move on
But
to the
what I'm
Tigers.
saying is, hold on. What I'm
Oh,
saying,
sorry.
last thing about the
Go ahead.
Twins, just to put a finer point on it, those couple of fixes you mentioned don't fix the Twins season. They don't. It's because
No.
the competition, the field of competition was so fierce at the end that they need more than just a couple of guys to be healthy a little bit longer.
I think they would have gotten to the playoffs. I don't think they would have done anything in the playoffs. I don't think they were good enough to do anything in the playoffs. But I do think that if Correa plays 10 more games, they make the playoffs. I think he's that big of a difference maker.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that.
So that's what I think they were missing. Just a little bit over the top that they get in, and I think it's good. But like I said, I don't think they would have gone anywhere. I think they would have just gotten there, and it would have been a first round exit, a wild card exit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the Tigers. The Tigers finished the season 86-76, and made the playoffs. By the way, after a pretty bad start. Things didn't. They were 47-50 in the first half of the season. This is before the All-Star break, which is bad, not terrible, but not good by any stretch of the imagination. You won't. For those of you keeping track, you prefer to be over 500 at the break, right, Brig? Yes.
Well, happens to be a great idea.
But here's
Get your
the
abacus out and figure it out.
yeah. Move those beads over. So August, though, they were 17-11. In September, 17-8.
Yeah.
They were, what was it, 8 games out in the middle of August?
Something like that. 7, 6, 7, 8, something like that.
I can't remember the graph. We talked about it during the playoff primer, and there was basically no shot of them making the playoffs.
It felt like there was no chance.
Yeah, they traded Jack Flaherty at the break because they were out. They were done. They were selling.
Wait, are we talking about the Royals or the Tigers?
The Tigers.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the Royals. Sorry.
No.
I went the wrong direction on you. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So the Tigers.
Thank you.
Break.
I don't know what happened to my brain. Yeah, Jack
the
Flaherty.
Tigers,
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back. Here we are.
Full circle. Made it around. Okay. So
Leave me alone.
this is the thing. This is the thing that's crazy though, Brig, is that
Yeah.
and the thing I gotta say I just love about this because it's just so funny. It is so funny that the day after Javier Baez got put on the IL for season-ending surgery,
Yeah.
then they go and they start winning.
It turns into career-ending surgery because it was such a blessing for the Tigers that he got out of there. Might just sideline him.
That's one thing I wonder. That's one thing I wonder
They'd be
is, do you DFA
you're
him?
out. Yeah. If you're the Tigers, you do. Yeah. You wondered, what's the problem? And you knew Javi Baez was a problem. And then you get Javi Baez not just off the field, but out of the clubhouse, out of the equation altogether. And automatically, literally the next day, everything starts changing fast. So all of your questions and concerns and everything were confirmed, which I guess you could say your worst fears were confirmed, but then it started working. So if it were me, I wouldn't bring Javi Baez back for all the tea in China, for all the tortillas. I wouldn't bring him back for all the marbles. Nope. Absolutely not. In fact, I'm going to look up his stats really quick because right now, his 2024 stats, out of 80 games played, he had 272 at-bats. Good enough for 25 runs, Brad. He scored 25 runs, 50 hits, 37 RBIs. He walked 12 times, struck out 69. He batted 184. He had a 184 average. I'm going to get a little deeper into here. He posted a negative 1.1 WAR on the season. That's 8 stolen bases and 37 total RBIs responsible. The guy is a liability in pretty much every category. Let's go through and talk about how he is. Let's see, where's the stat I'm looking for? OPS plus 46. Woof. And then I'm going to get to
That's the one. You could just stop it right there, Brig.
I know.
That is such a bad number because we talk about this all the time. That 100 is league average. For him to be 54 points below league average is absurd for a guy who, in Chicago, he put up, like, he had a one, I guess the best he put up was 129 in 2018. No, he put up a 140 with the Mets in 2021.
Yeah.
In 47 games with the Mets.
Yeah.
Like, he's capable, but since he's gotten to Detroit, he has not put up an OPS plus at league average. It's all been below. It's gotten worse every year.
Every single year. His 2024 defensive runs saved -7. That's really bad. He
For
is
a guy who was touted as a defensive player too.
Not
he could
just
play
touted,
both sides.
Not just touted. He was a wizard. He was the most exciting defensive player we have seen in our entire generation for those years when he was with the Cubs. 14,
the Gold Glove
15.
in 2020.
Bro, we had a holiday named after him.
You're
that
right,
we
Dia
celebrated
Del Mago.
every year. Dia Del Mago. And now it's blasphemy to say that. You know, like, we're just like, no. It's tarnished. You just go away. So for his defensive runs saved to be worth -7 runs, like, nah. That's his. Sorry, I'm looking at that. Defensive runs saved above average is -7.
Okay, how about this then? 25, 26, and 27. 3 years left on his contract. You've got $73 million left on that contract. Do you eat it and just say, we found the problem? Do you find somewhere to offload him and say, like, we'll pay it. We will pay it. Just take him. What's the solution? What's the answer to the problem?
If you can swindle somebody into taking any of his contract and freeing up the roster spot, that is priority number one. But you are going to have
the number one spot, so you don't have to eat it.
Yeah, exactly. If you can find a way to make it to, I don't know what you're going to do. The whole world can see what he's capable of, and the turnaround is visible to everybody as well. I wouldn't pay a dime for Javi Baez right now. Not a single dime.
Not now. No way. No. When the Tigers signed him, it was a good deal. It was like, 6 years. Was it 6 years, 140? Yeah, 6 years, 140. That's a good deal for this guy.
Anchor this team with a guy who knows what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. But man, the way he's fallen off a cliff has been absolutely absurd.
It's heartbreaking.
It really is. That's exactly what it is, because we all want to see the old Javi Baez back. Like, don't get this wrong. Like, we are not Javi Baez. Like Brig said, we had a holiday named after Javi Baez that we celebrated during the summer.
Every year. In August.
Yes.
It was August 13th every year. Dia Del Mago.
That's right, August 13th.
It was the coolest thing ever. And it was so much fun. But
not anymore.
We can't even justify it. It's so sad. But hold on. The Tigers finished 4th in Major League Baseball with a team ERA at 3.61. However, their team OPS finished the regular season 23rd overall in Major League Baseball. They posted a team OPS of 685. Now, I want to see what their team OPS was before and after Javi Baez. because I think just the regular season numbers alone would be fascinating.
You think there was an outlier that was dragging that down?
Yeah. He drug
Very
everything
well
else
could
down.
be. The Tigers in blowout games, Baseball Reference qualifies blowouts as 5+ run differential. They were 25 and 22 in blowouts this year. So they got blown out and they did some blowing out mostly. But their 1-run games, get this, 31 and 24. And one thing that was crazy too is I watched a lot of Tigers earlier in this year because I wanted to see what they could do. We felt like for years now they were capable of doing so much more than they have. So I follow them early in the year all the time, and they were winning games late. They were saying something like, I can't remember what it was, but they had won like 7 or 8 games in a row where they were trailing in the 8th inning. Yeah. And they came back and won. And one thing they said is like, that's not sustainable. They're going to have to start scoring runs earlier. But it's amazing what they're doing.
Stayed that way.
And it did. It did stay that way. Their largest comeback win was down 8 runs.
The fact that it was like at the end when they were like calling it chaos, right? We're just going to play chaos baseball. And their whole mentality, I feel like once Javi Baez left and they started turning everything around, then AJ Hinch was like, who cares? We don't know what's going to happen. We're just going to run out there, put our heads down, and we're going to have as much fun as possible. Let's just try and beat everybody. Why do we care? We have nothing to lose. And it was wild. Watching them manage games was wild. Watching them come alive, especially that outfield. They looked like they were having fun every minute of every game. And that's just not the same that they were the first half of the season. And it's not the same as it's around the league. Nobody else is having that much fun a lot, most of the time. So it was cool to watch what's the phrase I'm looking for? Kind of a devil be damned sort of idea. Like, who cares? Yeah. Damn the torpedoes. Devil may care. Wow.
Devil may care.
I crossed wires there. Damn the torpedoes because of the devil or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I do think offensively, obviously Javi Baez was a liability, right? But the rest of the team was just a little bit below average at the plate most of the time. Okay? Javi Baez had a 43 WRC plus. That's bad. But Colt Keith was still only at 97 total. Perez, 95 WRC plus. Okay? Mark Canha, 101 WRC plus. Carson Kelly, 108. Gio Urshela, 76. So, like, there's still these, like, middling numbers offensively across the season that aren't all attributable to Javi Baez. I think that's what I wanted to say.
Well, so even any of those guys though having that WRC plus over 100 though, that means they're better than average. And I feel like if you get a collective of guys who are above average and who are consistent enough, you can win. I mean, that's the idea behind Moneyball. It's obviously not going to get you to the World Series because it never has.
Never.
Right? But it can you can win games and get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
With it. And
all I'm saying is
kind of what they had going.
You got a bunch of guys in the 90s and 2 or 3 over 100 WRC plus. Still, it's not the right cocktail for runs produced.
Not for sustained and ultimate success.
Correct. So if we're looking at what went wrong, you got to look there a little bit.
A little more consistency. I think a little more thump in that lineup will do them some good.
Thump is where it's at. Yep.
Yeah, they're gonna.
But when they put the ball in play, they do it well, and they're having a lot of fun doing it, which is great.
Yeah. Because on the entire roster, the only guy who hit 20 home runs this year was Riley Green. He hit 24.
Right.
So you gotta have more.
Okay, so the Royals, 86 and 76. That's good enough for second place. Okay, team ERA 3.76. That's 8th in Major League Baseball. Team OPS 710, 14th across Major League Baseball. Now, obviously, last season, right? Didn't they have a 56, 58 win season, 59, something like that?
They won 30 more games this year than they did last year, so 56 games last year.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's I still can't believe it, honestly. Like, I knew they were going to be better this year, but I didn't think they were going to be this much better.
No, me neither. It is wild. Bobby Witt Jr. obviously is an enormous part of that.
Big time. Big time.
And not just offensive capabilities, but X Factor stuff, right? Like, because once somebody rallies, it gets things going. And all you need is that one guy to spark. And that's the guy. He's that guy.
Yeah. Well, they say hitting's contagious, and if you have one guy who can get it started every single day, then you're gonna be pretty good to go. I did see something. And you got Salvi Perez, obviously, Silver Slugger Award winner, right?
Yeah.
Big deal there. So like I said, he put up an OPS plus of 119. Bobby Witt Jr. was at 171. So then you've got Vinny Pasquantino, who missed a significant amount of time later in the season. He played 131 games, but most of those games he missed were in like September. But he put up an OPS plus of 111, and then you got Michael Massey at 105. Everybody else below 100.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Yes.
I was shocked MJ Melendez put up an 87 OPS plus. Because I feel like he's a way better player than that. Maybe he's not, but I don't know. I feel like he is.
I don't know. I think that the pitching, though, is where the team obviously came through constantly. Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans, right? It's like Michael Wacha. They all just crushed it this year.
I keep waiting for Michael Wacha to be washed.
Right?
Am I the only one?
I don't think so. Wacha,
all of last year, Brig, I faded Wacha all of last year when I was betting. And eventually I learned my lesson where I just didn't touch him. Okay? Yeah. And then this year I was like, okay, this is going to be the year. This will be the year where it's going to happen. And it didn't. It didn't happen. No. 3.35 ERA. 13-8 record, playing for a pretty good team, right?
14 quality
ERA plus
starts.
of 126, please.
Yeah.
Good year for him.
His strike to walk record was 145 to 45.
Yeah, that puts him at a 3.22 strike to walk out ratio.
It's pretty good.
It is pretty good. All those guys were up above 3. And there's strike to walk out. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. It is good. You're not giving up free passes ends up being enormous in the end.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm on a Facebook group, and there's a guy one of the admins, who just loses his mind every time the Mariners walk like 2 guys in an inning, like, walk skill, what are you doing? Get control, da da da. Just goes off. And then always, every single time they come back, and those are like the only runs that are scored in the game. Because those guys will come around.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Super dope.
Really is. Yep. So I really liked the Royals coming in this year because of what I saw at the end of last season. The offense was good. They kind of slumped later this year. September was not a good month for them. It seemed like they were trying to not make the playoffs. They finished September when they went 11-14, 15-13 in August, which is not great. But they were 17-11 in April and May. And then 12-15 in June. And so it was like, for a while, it looked like they were going to be up there with the Guardians, up there with Cleveland for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But they just couldn't sustain it. Just couldn't hold on. And part of their problems came on the road. They were 41-40 on the road, which is you've got to. Good teams win on the road. They don't just win at home. And so that was part of their problem too.
So the bullpen was an issue. Right, but the bullpen was an issue for a long time. I feel like until Urseg came in, they were floundering and trying to find a closer, and it was a nightmare because they had like a 4.13 ERA collectively for the bullpen at the end of the season. I think. Mm-hmm. Like if you cumulatively look at the whole season.
And the bullpen was a problem last year too.
Yeah.
Like that was like one of their big things when they were hitting in the second half. It's like, okay, but they can't hold a lead at all.
Right.
And it was kind of this throughout the year. So
again,
the Royals are going to have to figure that out. That's like their big bugaboo Once they get figured out, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll be okay, but they're top heavy in the lineup, so they got to fix that too.
They are.
But when it comes to the bullpen is a big problem. But Urseg's there. He'll probably be the closer this next season. I don't think that's probably not going to be a huge concern if he can stay as consistent as he was. What did he end up with? Like a 2. He had like a sub-3 ERA in Kansas City at the end of this season. I have to look it up.
He had
2.88.
2.88. Yeah.
Yeah. 11 saves, 2.88, a 31-3 walk to Ks per walk ratio, 31-3, 25 innings. So that's what I'm talking about right there. That's what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in a good spot for them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Angel Zerpa was pretty good. Finished. Yeah. He closed out 3 games for them. I don't know.
I think it'll be Urseg.
They're gonna have to address the bullpen though, because Urseg's not gonna pitch if they're losing.
Yeah, right.
You gotta have guys who can keep you close. Yeah, you gotta have guys who can keep you close.
They need someone to get that hold column plussed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if they do that though, they'll be okay. But yeah, you're right though. They are super top heavy in the lineup. They just need to get a little bit more consistency, and I think they'll be there.
They'll be all right.
And by there, I don't mean contending for a World Series. I mean a more legitimate
deeper in the playoffs
contender.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not that they had a bad playoff showing. It wasn't terrible.
Right. No, it wasn't, because they advanced.
Right.
But then they got to the second round where it's like you need a little more thump. Again, there's the problem.
Yep. I agree.
And that was one of the things, too. Like, as a Mariners fan, looking at this year, is like, I would love for the Mariners to make the playoffs. I would just love it. But there is nothing about this offense that tells me that they can advance beyond the division series against the teams that they would be playing.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So, because of the offensive limitations. And that's how it felt with Cleveland. Or, sorry, not Cleveland. Moving on to Cleveland, City. But that's how it felt with the Royals.
Let's move on to Cleveland. Yeah. 92 and 69.
Go ahead, Brig.
Get after it, Brad. Okay, the team ERA, they finished first place. Team ERA, third in Major League Baseball, 3.61 collective ERA, 17th in Major League Baseball at the end of the season on OPS. They collectively were at 703. So, obviously, first place after a disappointing 2023. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Cade Smith and Tim Herron posted sub-2 ERAs. Awesome. It was awesome. Emmanuel Clase, the entire regular season, was unreal. It was like calling it otherworldly almost doesn't even cut it, right? He had 47 saves, and his ERA in the regular season was 0.61.
Oh, by the way, 74 appearances. So, a huge sample size to go off of.
Huge. Plus the 4 horsemen. With Gaddis, Smith, Herron. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it was... This bullpen was fantastic for the most part.
It was. So here's a couple things with Cleveland's ball club here. So it looked like they were going to run away with the division the entire season. They had it, felt like wrapped up. 16-9 in April, 19-9 in May. And then things started to slow down a little bit. 14-11 in June, 13-12 in July, and then 12-17 in August. Yikes. That's when I was starting to get worried for Cleveland. That hey, this may not happen. Might run out of gas. But then September 15-10, and then you've got Kansas City that didn't have a great September, and Detroit that was just coming from way too far back to catch them, and Minnesota with a terrible September. So 15-10 was good enough.
Just good enough. Well, and J-Ram came 40-40. He had 118 runs. and join the 40-40 club.
He was one shy. He had 39 homers.
Oh, I thought it was 40-40. Oh, you're right.
Nice.
You're right. It was
39 homers.
Yeah.
41 bags.
Dang, that's right. Ah.
Yeah. We wanted him to. And I thought that if he got 40-40, then it would get him an MVP, but he just didn't quite get there. But he still put up a 143 OPS plus.
It's pretty good.
143. That is pretty good. Stephen Kwan with 126. David Fry with 128.
Yeah, I was just going to say David Fry.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great.
So Josh Naylor put up a 118 OPS plus. And to me, I felt like this year he was relatively quiet.
Well, he still hit 30 home runs.
Last year he was 130, and the year before that 121. That's why.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
So it's crazy, though. It's crazy the expectations you have from guys after they put up a year like that. That you come back, you're like, but he still had a pretty dang good year.
Yeah, but he walked 58 times.
Yeah, so that's 25 more walks than what he drew in 2023.
Yep.
That's huge. That's really big for him. His strikeouts were way up, but he also played.
I feel like his chase rate was down there. I have to look.
He played in 30 more games though, so you got to look at sample size there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But I think that the walk rate is better than what it was. So
yeah, and it's a good thing.
Good year for him.
That's what we just got done talking about, giving them away for free, and that walk is how you do that.
Yeah.
So for him to have 58 walks as a career high, big deal.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. Good for him. Honestly, I feel like Cleveland, I don't know if they just ran out of gas in the playoffs, right? Like if the bullpen just ran out of gas because they had relied on them so heavily this year. But they need to figure out their starting pitching. They need to really get that sorted. Because if they get that starting pitching like really, really humming, really going,
yeah,
they're gonna be great. They're gonna be a great team. I think that was the thing that was missing because Tristan McKenzie only pitched 16 games, and I understand there's a reason for that because of the 5.11 ERA. Gavin Williams 16 games with again 4.86 ERA. Logan Allen 5.73. Carlos Carrasco 5.64. You got Tanner Bybee and Ben Lively were the only guys sub 4 in that starting rotation. You cannot live off of your bullpen because you get to the playoffs and they're gassed.
Well, Shane Bieber had Tommy John. They needed him. They just needed him to help balance out the starters versus the bullpen, and he just couldn't be there. That's a hard thing to recover from. Truly.
Yep. It is, and I think if Bieber comes back, when that was the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, he only had 2 starts, I think, something like that. It was early
because I feel like he was one of the guys because there was a bunch of guys who went down in April and May, and I think he was one of them.
I'm looking at Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams had
2 starts.
2 starts for Bybee? Yeah.
For
Bieber, I mean. Bieber.
Yeah.
Gavin Williams, 3 wins, 10 losses with a 4.86 ERA. That's not a great starting rotation number. It's just not. It's not great. But then he's not the only one. Logan Allen, 5.73 ERA. Carlos Carrasco, 5.64.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Tristan McKenzie.
They need to get Bieber back to help with that, but they also need to figure something out with it because the trip into the back end of that rotation is not good right now. And maybe Tristan McKenzie just had a down year and he'll come back and he'll be fine and better next year, right? Yeah. Because he's been good.
Yeah.
He's been a good pitcher for them. I was actually shocked that he was struggling as much this year. Like when they demoted him, I was like, what are you doing? Why? Oh, that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because 2022 was his best year so far. with 31 starts and a 2.96 ERA.
Yeah.
If they can get him back to close to that, they'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
well, they had 4 all-star selections in the position players: Josh Naylor, Jose Ramirez, obviously, Stephen Kwan, and then David Fry. Jose Ramirez, Silver Slugger, but Stephen Kwan, Gold Glove, and then Andres Jimenez won a Gold Glove this year. So all of that is pretty good.
yeah, they're good. They're a good team. They have a lot of really good pieces. I think what it came down to in the end, ultimately, like I said, was the bullpen was gassed by the time they got to the playoffs, because that was part of the problem that they ran into. Is that you thought that it was going to carry them over the Yankees, but the Yankees still got to it. Got to Class A. And that was like, the dude was untouchable.
Holy cow. Look, as a Yankees fan, I was like, what? I was like, this is the greatest thing ever.
I think everybody was. Shocked. I think that was everybody's response to that.
Totally shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to the National League. Let's start with the bottom of the NL Central. Let's talk about the Pirates, shall we?
Yep.
I mean, we talked about it earlier. You got Paul Skeens, who was the National League Rookie of the Year, holding down a part of that starting rotation that is just nasty with Mitch Keller, Bailey Falter, and Jared Jones. Like, what?
Oh, I know. But let's not forget that their team ERA throughout the season still was 20th in Major League Baseball at 4.15.
Right.
That's a collective team ERA.
Mitch Keller got touched up some because he had a 4.25 ERA. Bailey Falter got touched up some because he had a 4.43 ERA.
Yeah.
Jared Jones missed some time but also got touched up with a 4.14 ERA, and Martin Perez was not good with a 5.20 ERA in 16 starts. So
look, the only guy sub 4 is Paul Skeens, and he's at a 1.96. Yeah. Everybody else is 4 or better, or higher, I mean.
Right.
And their relief pitching staff, they have the 3.16 from Holderman, and then you jump to 3.38 with Mlodzinski, and then it's 3.79, 3.95, 5.77. Their closers ERA is 5.77 in with Elder Bednar.
So it's not good. He only had 23 saves. I always thought it was interesting that he was their go-to guy at the end of the game. But a lot of people like him, right? Like, yeah, which is fine. That whatever. I'm not going to yuck your yum, but I've never seen it. I've never understood it. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there that I'm missing, but I don't know. So
23 saves is good. Like it
is good, but when you finish 47,
yeah, no, seriously. Well, 45, 23 45, out of 45, yeah.
And I don't think those are all blown saves. I'm sure they just got him in there because he needed to get his work in. Because this is the thing: is when you're losing a lot of games, your closer's not going to see time unless you just decide to throw him out there. So
correct.
The Pirates, though, like I thought they were going to be so much better this year because it was like, oh, we saw flashes of last year, and they just weren't. They had 1 month over 500. In July, they played to 15-10. Oh, sorry. In June, they were 14-12. They did have 2 months. Other than that, they're 4-0 in March. It doesn't count. It's March. April, they were 10-17, 12-14 in May, 8-19 in August.
Ooh.
13-14 in September.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it is brutal. So I don't know.
They only had 4 hitters with at least a 100 WRC plus, and this is like if they have the qualifying 200 plate appearances, whatever. Joey Bart 121, Reynolds hit 118, Cruz 110, and McCutchen 105. That's it.
Good for McCutchen, by the way.
No, seriously though.
we saw
he's
a resurgence of Andrew McCutchen this year.
Yeah, he's 37. He's out there killing it, man. He's looking down the line. He's like, I'm not going to be outdone. No way.
Yeah, no chance. No way.
No. If Yasmani Grandal can do it, so can I.
Exactly right.
And Andrew McCutcheon had a WAR this year of, according to Baseball Reference, had a .8 WAR, and Grandal had a .6 WAR. So take that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's one for you. So Brian De La Cruz was a midseason acquisition at the trade deadline by the Pirates, and I was like, hey, good for him. That's a good little piece. Didn't go well. Did not go well. He had a 42 OPS plus, good enough for a negative 1.2 WAR with the Pirates. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's the cold weather. I don't know, but man, that's ugly.
That's just bad. Yeah, that's bad.
Not good.
He's batting 200, 220, and a 294 with a 514 OPS. Ugh.
And so here's another guy though. Like I know Ke'Bryan Hayes is a defensive first guy over at third base.
And he hurt his back.
He did hurt his back. He won a Gold Glove last year, so he is defense first. But you need more than a 61 OPS plus out of him.
But he hurt his back.
I understand that.
Okay.
Maybe
you're not
be
wrong.
playing.
You need more. I got it.
Maybe he shouldn't be playing.
Well, okay. Now we're talking.
Like,
this is literally the worst year I think he's ever had.
It is, and maybe Brig, maybe this is the thing, is that a hurt Ke'Bryan Hayes is better than the backup option. I don't know.
Maybe.
But
maybe.
I can't imagine. If you're that bad and you're backup, that's ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Ugly stuff. So the Pirates, I don't know. I said last year I expect them to be better next year, but at 76 and 86, they finished the exact same record that they finished with in 2023.
Woof.
So I don't know. I would hope they're better next year, but I just don't know if they're going to be.
Right.
Depends on the moves they make. Because I'm curious. So this is the one thing. This is my last thing with them. If they move Brian Reynolds and get a couple of young big league ready players for him, I think they have a chance to be better. But if that doesn't happen, I don't think they will be. Because Paul Skeens only pitches once every 5 days.
Right. And he only had 23 starts.
It's crazy.
Can you believe that?
No.
He won Rookie of the Year with 23 starts and 133 innings pitched.
Yep.
But he only gave up... He only had 31 runs scored on him, and he's only responsible for 29 of those, and they came off 94 hits. He gave up 94 hits and only 10 home runs in 133 innings. He struck out 170 guys. Oh, he's exciting. I don't care who you are.
He is. And so this is my last thing on Skeens. So one thing, I watched an interview with him where he was talking to Rob Friedman, pitching ninja. He credited Friedman with like some of his learning how to pitch growing up, because he talks so much about pitch tunneling.
Yep.
With where every pitch starting in the same location and then breaking into its various quadrants.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool that he's like, yeah, man, I watched you on social media and that's how I learned how to pitch. It's like, oh, dude.
That's so cool.
But that's part of what makes him so good, is he's so good at tunneling his pitches.
He is.
So it's cool to watch. It's really cool. I know.
Should we move into the Reds?
Before we started recording. I told you before we started recording that I was over the hype train on Paul Skeens. I think I'll be over it until the season starts, and then I'll be back on it.
Yeah, you said that, and I was like, what? Okay, that's fine. I'll carry your water for you for a little while. I can do that. I'm not over it at all. I got my Skeens jersey right here. I really do.
I know, I do too.
It's too good. It's just too fun.
Let's talk about the Reds.
All right, Reds are 77 and 85. That's a .475 record. Fourth place in the NL Central makes a lot of sense. Team ERA 4.09 collective. That's good enough for 18th across Major League Baseball. Team OPS was .693, also good enough for 21st in Major League Baseball. Woof.
Yeah.
We were so high on them. Dude, coming into this season, we were like, all right, man, here we go. Here we go. Jonathan India, Ellie De La Cruz, Hunter Green. Like, we were just pumped for this team. Nope.
We were, and those dudes lived up to it. India not quite
Those
so
dudes
much
did.
as he could have. But man, Nick Martinez was good.
Tyler Stevenson was really good. Let me tell you about Tyler Stevenson really quick. He's their catcher. 2.4 WAR, 138 games played. Okay, he struck out 117 times, but he walked 48 times. 19 home runs, 258 average, 338 OBP, and 444 slugging, 112 OPS. I think that this is the guy that they have been hoping for the last couple of seasons. I think he was, sixth Rookie of the Year voting when it was time to vote for him in 2021. 2022, played 45 games, 46. 2023, just about 100 games. In 2024, he came through with 127 plus. And, anyway, that WAR, 2.4 WAR? Fabulous.
Yeah,
don't sleep on
good.
Tyler
That's
Stevenson.
really good from him. So here's something interesting. If you look at their record month by month, where things really went wrong was in May. They were 9-18, 14-13 in April, 14-13 in June, 13-11 in July. But then August again, 12-17, 13-12 in September. So they were like right there, just right at the average line most of the time. But the 2 bad months really just did them in. Yeah. And I feel like if you take those out in those outlier months, this team they're like a 500 team right now, but Ellie De La Cruz is still really raw. And when your best player is that raw, like, I think they're gonna be okay. They're gonna have to trade India. They're gonna have to. They need to move him. They need to get a big league ready prospect for him. And I think that's going to be a big thing. Hunter Green was the guy I thought he was going to be this year. I was stoked to see that.
Oh, the dude was money.
Yeah.
The dude was money, dude. He had a 2.75 ERA and a 1.02 whip, 169 strikeouts. Bro, come on.
Yeah.
He's an ace.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's a legit pickle, Brig.
Yeah. Now, hold on. Let's talk about what went wrong. And one of the things in the what went wrong column is you have to talk about Noel V. Marte's 80-game PED suspension.
Mm-hmm.
He was really an exciting third base option for them. Nope. He made it stupid.
Yeah. Instead, you end up having Santiago Espinal put up a negative .4 WAR. And granted, Marte put up a negative 1.8 when he got back. But I wonder if it would have been different had he been there all season.
Yep.
Because he was a highly touted prospect in the Mariners organization. And that's part of the reason he was part of the Castillo trade, is because it's like, this kid's going to be good, but I don't know. It hasn't shown up yet at the big league level. So we'll see.
And what happened to Ty France? That's all I'm going to say. It's okay.
He fell off a cliff and forgot to play baseball.
He did. He posted a negative 0.4 WAR. He only played 52 games. You want to talk
about Ty France for a minute? Let's talk about Ty France for a minute.
All right.
All season, collectively this season, had a negative .6 WAR, 234 batting average. For the entire season, he had a 92 OPS plus. And that went, so it was at 97 when the Mariners DFA'd him, and then it went down when he got to Cincinnati. And the thing that's funny is Mariners fans were just like, you'd see only the good stuff with Ty France. Like all the highlights, like, oh, Ty France, he's doing so well in Cincinnati. No, he's not.
No, he didn't.
Nope.
Which was sad because he was on my fantasy team a couple years ago, and he was the only consistent one. He's one of the only guys I could rely on every week.
He was an all-star in 2022.
Yep. It was really interesting to watch him fall off so hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and fast. There was an injury last year, and it never came back after that.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Yeah,
That's true. Should we talk about the Cubbies?
Let's do it. Take us in.
Yep. Cubs finished. Here we go. Where is it? 83 and 79, second place. There. Did we skip third place? The Cardinals?
We did skip the Cardinals.
Oh man, let's talk about the Cardinals.
All right,
no,
because
they tied. No, they tied for second place. That's what it was.
Well, I think based on tiebreakers, the because I have the Cardinals in third place on Baseball Reference. So.
Okay, that's why then. Okay, because I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. So let's talk about the Cardinals. 83 and 79, third place. Team ERA 4.04, 16th in Major League Baseball. Team OPS 704, 15th in Major League Baseball. This was Heimblum's first, real moment of control, real.
He hasn't taken over yet.
What? I thought he started already.
No, not yet.
Oh.
They announced that he was coming in end of the season, and I don't even think he's going to take over in 2025.
Oh, okay. Well, that's weird. Okay. Anyway,
it's a really weird situation.
Because I thought he was involved in stuff. Well, I don't know what happened. I don't know what I was thinking. We talked about that early though.
September 30th is the date of the article on ESPN. It says he's going to take over as the Cardinals president of baseball operations during the 2025 offseason. So
wow.
So now
why did I feel like? Huh?
Because
anyway,
it probably felt like forever ago.
Felt like forever ago.
We had the entire postseason to go through after we talked about that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Okay. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. This was an improvement from 2023, I think by 10 games or something like that. So not a big one,
games,
but still moving up. Yeah, other than that, man, Helsley was great. He had a 2.04 ERA, 49 saves. They had some thump in their lineup, like Burleson, 269 average, 21 home runs. Donovan, 115 WRC plus. Mason Wynn, still great. 3.6 WAR. Mason Wynn had a 3.6 WAR.
4.9 B WAR.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great season from him. Big time. The disappointment came with Paul Goldschmidt, 98 OPS plus and a 1.3 B WAR. That's on Baseball Reference. Is where the B comes from on that. And Nolan Arenado was average offensively, 101 OPS plus. Defensively, it just wasn't quite there for him this year. And I actually saw today that they're talking about moving him. They're going to try to trade him.
Yeah, even with a 2.5 WAR posted. But if you look, that's Arenado, 2.5. I'm going to look. 2.5. He has a career WAR of 56.7, just for reference. He had a 2.5 WAR in 2013 with his rookie campaign. 2020, super weird season. He had a 1.5. But other than that, last year 2.4, this year 2.5. Other than that, he has been 6, 5, 6, 6, 7, 4, 7. This was
he led the league
with
7.7 in 2022. He's kind of been, I don't know if he's declining or if he just needs a change of scenery. I don't know what it is yet.
Could be either. Yeah.
And we won't know until he gets a change of scenery. But
you're right.
The problem, so this is, and I knew that, I don't want to say I knew, but I assumed the problem the Cardinals were going to have this year was that they just brought in too many veterans, too many old guys.
Think that's what it was?
I think so. Kyle Gibson, Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn, and that pitching staff, right? And then you've got Goldschmidt, who I don't know what's going on there. He might just be old. He's 36, maybe he's just old.
I think Goldie's he might just be done.
I think that's just it for him. Arenado's 33, right? And then other than that, you do have a bunch of young guys, right?
Yeah.
Like you talked about Brendan Donovan, Mason Wynn, especially, that dude's only 22.
I know, right?
Was not a whole lot. There was not a whole lot in the middle to make up the gap, and so it got to the point that the Cardinals at the end of the season were like, we're going to go back to the old way. We're going to have a complete philosophy change from where we've been the last several years, and we're going to go back and we're just going to try to do things the Cardinals way again, and that's what we're going to do to try to win.
Yeah.
So,
well, maybe we're mid-shift then. Maybe we're mid-philosophy.
Well, no, they said that at the end of the season, so they're scrapping it and they're starting over.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
With player development, that's going to be their new approach.
Fantastic.
New old approach.
Right. Yeah. Well, if that's the case, and we can all just be happy about Lars Nootbaar because the guy had a great season, and coming off of his freaking hype train off the World Baseball Classic, and still going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not over it from the World Baseball Classic. I don't know about you.
I still check to see what Lars Nootbaar does at the end of the day.
Me too.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just fun.
Yeah. It is fun. All right, now let's talk about the Cubs.
Thank you. The Cubs. Also 83 and 79, second place, barely. Team ERA, 10th in Major League Baseball, the 3.78. 13th Major League Baseball, team OPS, 710. Lots of good things. But I feel like Craig Counsell wasn't one of them. Been waiting to say that. That's how I feel. I don't want to hear it. That's how I feel. I'm wearing a Cubs hat tonight. I get it. Still not happy. As a bandwagon Cubs fan, let me make that very clear.
Purely, yeah.
As a 100% bandwagon Cubs fan, I'm still carrying around the residual from 2016. A lot of reasons why. Got it. I'm disappointed. They had all the pieces. They had every reason to succeed. They didn't have a single starting position player with a negative WAR, although they did get close with Christopher Morel, but he had a .2.
They got rid of him, though. They dealt him. They got him out of there.
So all I'm saying is, like, they were making the right choices, and I still don't know what went wrong.
So
other than the Brewers were really good.
Offense. I think you can look at some of the offense. Okay, Pete Carroll Armstrong is wildly entertaining to watch, but his OPS plus was only 88. We've seen much worse. We've talked about much worse tonight. There's that. Dansby Swanson was 98. Dansby Swanson is a way better player than that. He should be putting up a better OPS plus than 98. Sorry,
better.
Yeah, 98.
Yeah,
so
98.
There are some of the problems right there, but I do think some of the pitching was really great. Shota Mike Imanaga, by the way.
Mike, yeah.
2.91 ERA?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. And then everybody else
Jameson Tyone had a good year. Javier Assad, Justin Steele. Kyle Hendricks was the issue, but he's gone now.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
He's in Anaheim, so he's not going to be a problem because he forgot how to pitch. Hector Neris, not bad. I mean, 3.89. He had 17 saves.
Not a great closer, though. Like, let's be honest. You need way more from your closer.
He's not. This is the thing. This is one of those things, and there are certain guys who I say this with. If you have Hector Neris in the middle of your bullpen, you're okay.
Pretty
just
good.
like Houston. But if you're relying on him as your closer, and I could say this before looking at these numbers, you do not have a good closer.
Right. Yep.
So it depends on the role you have him in, and they didn't have him in the right spot, having him closer. And I don't know that he was there the entire season. That's just where he's listed and I'm sure that's just because he had the most saves. But that's not the guy.
He did have the most saves
for you.
But he also started almost as many, like every one of these guys in their relief pitcher like their stock bullpen pitched about the same number of games, 46, 50, 49, 39, 39, right? Mm-hmm. We've got Tyson Miller, 2.15 ERA, Porter Hodge, 1.88, Mark Leiter Jr., 4.21, Drew Smiley, 3.84. Why do you have Hector Neris closing out your games?
I wonder if there was a switch made, is why.
Maybe.
Eventually.
I hope so.
Because it seems like Porter Hodge probably came around later and was the guy who was closing out games.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
because his hits per 9 is was it 4.0 hits per 9, and his whip is .884. Anyway, whatever.
So Porter Hodge made his major league debut this season. I can see why he would not be the closer early on. I'm sure
that makes sense.
I'm sure he worked his. It looks like he worked his way into that role.
Okay, good for him. Then.
Well deserved. Yeah.
Yeah, good for him.
Out of Cottonwood High School in Salt Lake City, Utah, by the way, Brig.
What? Cottonwood? That's home turf right there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, baby.
Let's wrap things up with the Brew Crew. Go for
it. Brew Crew, 93-69 win-loss record. First place in the NL Central. 3.65 ERA is good for 5th in Major League Baseball. OPS 729, that's 10th across Major League Baseball. And they were pretty good.
They were really great. Pat Murphy did an outstanding job with this team.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he really did.
We had zero expectations of this team, and they came in and they just ran away with the division. They won the division by what? It was by 10 games. 10 games.
And they dealt Corbin Burns to do it. And they lost Woodruff to an injury.
Mm-hmm. When we thought the pitching was going to be their calling card.
Yeah. Nope.
So look at this. Look at these splits. This is month by month. 15-11 in April, 16-12 in May, 16-11 in June. A bad July at 11-13, but then 19-9 in August. And they finished September 13-13. I'm sure a lot of that had to do with just coasting.
Sure.
So, consistently very good through the entire season.
Yep.
I don't know. I really did think that they just were not going to get it done this year, and they certainly did. The problem came in the wild card series against the Mets.
Yep.
Couple of clutch hits is what ended up doing them in against the Mets team that had been really hot for a long time.
Yep.
And we kept waiting for them to cool off, but they never did. And then the Brewers just ended up getting the brunt of that, the wrong end of it.
So their bullpen, the Brewers' bullpen, was first in ERA across all of Major League Baseball, and they came in second place across Major League Baseball in saves. Their bullpen was number 1 across Major League Baseball in whip, and as far as blown saves, they were third, so like third best. They blew fewer saves than, however many other teams. 27.
So here are a couple guys who are major contributors. You've got William Contreras, who was an all-star, Silver Slugger. Bryce Terang was your Platinum Glover in the National League. Sal Frelick was also a Gold Glover this year. Rhys Hoskins was your worst offensive player with a negative .2 WAR, which is interesting because he's still not good, but he put up a 98 OPS plus.
Yeah.
When you had guys Blake Perkins at 81, Sal Frelick at 83, and Gary Sanchez at 93.
Gary Sanchez.
El Gary. So, and this was the other thing, Brig, that we didn't get to talk about a whole lot. We haven't talked about a whole lot since this happened. Was Christian Yelich played in 73 games this year. Put up a 2.2 WAR and a 151 OPS plus. He was back, baby. Speaking of back, that was the problem.
I was going to say, I was waiting for you to make that joke. Nailed it. Oh, man. He did get hurt.
I thought that was going to be
games.
It. I know one guy, right? Can't be it. But I was just like, man, there's no way. It's going to be just enough. But there was a way, apparently.
So the Brewers finished stolen bases, came in number 2 across Major League Baseball. Walk rate, number 2 across baseball. Runs scored, 6th in baseball. RBIs, 6th in baseball. Can't beat that. Willie Adames was 251, 333, 462 with 32 home runs, 21 stolen bases. That was before he heads into free agency, by the way. This is free agency.
I was going to say, yeah. he has a career year, and then he's going into free agency. So
it's pretty fabulous for him.
It is pretty fabulous for him. He's going to get paid. He's going to be sought after by a lot of teams.
Yeah.
And good for him.
Rightly so.
But
yeah,
it's one of those things where you look at the Brewers, like, how do you replace that? Seems like they'll find a way because they have.
Yeah, I think so. But Rhys Hoskins was a problem for sure. Sal Frelick and Garrett Mitchell.
But Sal Frelick made up for it with his glove, though.
True. Yeah, I could see that argument for sure.
So
I feel like the starting rotation was solid, but nothing spectacular. They were okay. They did enough.
Good enough.
But
good enough.
But
Freddie
just
Peralta
enough,
was good, 3.68 ERA. Tobias Myers with a 3.0 ERA.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah,
those are not bad at all. Hobie Milner was put up the highest ERA on the staff of anybody who's qualified with 4.73. But if you've only got one guy doing that because they had everybody else's was hovering around or below 3 of their high leverage arms in the bullpen,
you're right.
It's going to get the job done for you.
I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, like I don't know. Their bullpen was incredible. Like, it was fabulous.
Yeah, I think that
all 30 teams,
the Brewers, if they just kind of, if the Brewers kind of hold serve with what they've done and they find somebody to plug that hole with Adames, if he doesn't come back, I don't think he's going to.
I was going to say, or we're just bring him back. Yeah.
It doesn't look like he's going to. But if they were to bring him back, then that's great. But if not, then I think that they'll be able to find somebody because they've been able to do it so far, like I said. So,
yep.
I like it. I like what the Brewers have going on. They got a good thing. Pat Murphy's outstanding for them and likes to shake things up and get things moving. Stolen bases, patient at the plate, drawing walks, things like that. Those win games. Unfortunately, like I said, they ran into a Mets team that was really, really hot.
Also ready to win games. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Baseball family, let us know what you think about the teams in the Central Divisions. If there are things that we specifically missed, there very well may have been. We tried to make it brief, even though we went over an hour on this stuff. There's a lot to get into, a lot to talk about with these things. So if there are some things that we missed with your team, let us know, and we'll address it going forward. We'll talk about it when we get to it. Next week's episode will be previously recorded, so it will just be the West Divisions because I'm going to be out of town for Thanksgiving, so we're going to do that. And then going into December, we're going to take a couple weeks off and do some previously recorded episodes. So this is really the last chance we get to talk about news until January, at which time we will just do a news dump and talk about all of it at once. But in the meantime, make sure you head over to Patreon. You can support the show with one of 5 tier support: $1, $5, $10, $15, and whopping $500 a month. See what everybody gets. Everybody gets different benefits and things there.
Yeah.
But the big thing that everybody gets is the bullpen cut, and you get a sticker as well. We'll send you a sticker for being a rooter over on Patreon. There's a link in the description there, and get yourself some seeds. Stock up for the winter, like a squirrel with a nut, except you're doing sunflower seeds. Head over to SchnookSeedery.com and use code BTPOD at checkout to save 10% off of your order and support the show while supporting your mouth and your wallet all at once. Baseball family, thank you so much for joining us.
Don't forget to go over to Instagram and join the giveaways for the 12 days of Christmas.
That's right.
And last thing before you go, Brad, go Army.
Beat Navy. We'll catch you next week.